Alrighty. This workshop is going to be a lot more informal, I guess. So as we go through, it's going to be just kind of a walkthrough of Challenge 4. If you'll have any questions, either you can type them in chat, or if you're comfortable, unmute yourself and you can say, "Hey, stop real quick, this isn't working," or what about even if you had specific questions, just kind of an open dialogue walkthrough of Challenge 4. But I'll go ahead and get my screen shared up here. Share. Awesome. And let me pop this back out. Sweet. Can y'all see the screen? All right, is it shared?
Yeah, it looks good on my end.
Awesome. Um, so just starting off, we'll go ahead and just create a new front end. And we're going to be using the Mist and Labs template front end. Will kind of guide us, show us how to go through that. It's real simple. Um, First off, we're going to want to open up our command prompt. Uh, I'm going to run mine as administrator. I'm not sure if you have to, but it always helps to. Um, and what you want to do is you're going to want to navigate to wherever you're going to want to put this project. So for me, I'm going to be putting it on my data drive. And let me get my location for that. Challenge 5 and new folder. Challenge. All right, so for my Windows folks, no, I got 1 second. 5 project. All right, so for my Windows folks, if you are on your C drive, you can just type CD, and then if you've copied your directory, then you can right click to paste it. I'm using my data drive, so I'm going to have to put /d first. So I'll go ahead and move over to my directory. And then once you're there, we're going to just follow this tutorial, which all we have to type in is npm create at miston/dap. And if you run that, it will think for a second and it'll kind of populate that folder with the project. There it goes. And then so it'll ask you which starter template you'd like to use, and you can just use up and down on the arrow to pick one. And we're going to use the E2E counter, which is the second option. So highlight that in blue and then hit enter. And then it'll ask you for the name of your
Ay, qué
DApp.
boludo que soy. Ojalá no lo haya perdido. Es que esto no tiene fucking pockets.
Hey, Lucas, looks like you're
There
unmuted. Oh,
you
thanks.
go. So then it'll ask you what is the name of your DApp, and so you can name it the general, naming. Uh, what do you call it? I forget the word, but usually the way you name it is just with dashes and all lowercase. So I'm going to name mine Challenge 5. Um, yeah, I'm just going to call mine Challenge 5. Um, and then you'll see now that in this folder, it's created this Challenge 5 and it's scaffolded the whole app for us. So if we don't have anybody with issues just yet, then we can go ahead and move forward. Awesome. So moving forward, we finished that part of the challenge. So now we just need to go in and deploy the counter package within the template app. This is exactly what we did in challenge 0, step 6. Very simple. You just need to navigate over to your move folder and then counter. And so to do that here, CD move. Oops. Oh, sorry. CD challenge 5, CD move, and uh, CD counter. You can do that all in one step, but I didn't really want to type that all slashes. So once you're there, just as before, you'll do SWE client publish, and then that will publish your package inside of your that has been pre-built for you inside the scaffolded app. That takes just a second, not too long, and then it should be published. And there we go, up on chain. And so now, once this finishes and successfully, under published objects right here, we're going to want to take this package ID. This is similar to what we did in the previous workshop, and we're going to want to save this and write it down for right now so that we don't lose it. And then once you have that saved, we can move on to the next step. I'm going to minimize
Hey,
this.
Wyatt,
Yeah,
do you think you could go over the counter contract really quick?
yeah, for sure. Let me open that up. So build.
Or
You
in
think?
the sources?
Oh, yeah, my bad. Sources and counter.move. There we are. Pull this up, and yeah, we'll go through how this works. So the way
Yeah, that way, yeah, we have some
yeah,
context before we
for sure.
create the front end.
So here we just have before we have our module inside the package counter, and the module is called counter. We have our public struct counter has key, which gives us our unique ID, the owner's address, and the value. Um, and then we just have our public function create. This is what's going to be used on our later moving forward on our application, our web app. Once we click onto the create counter, if one doesn't exist, it will run this function, and then it will what do you call it? It'll go through, transfer share object. It essentially creates the counter with the ID of the creating a new ID from the current transaction and making the owner of the counter whoever sent the the request. And then after that, then we're going to have a button that will allow us to increment the counter, which will interface with this function here called increment. And essentially it takes in a mutable reference to your counter object, and it takes the value variable inside of there, and it just increments it by 1. And then finally, we will also have a set value, which is only runnable by the counter owner. I'm not sure, does this app use the set value? I can't remember. If it
It,
does,
if it does, it's when it's resetting it to 0.
okay. Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Oh, yeah, I see that here. Yeah. So that's for resetting to 0. And so that's the basics of the counter.move and how the package is going to work. Um, so moving forward from there, we can minimize this. I wouldn't exit it because it has that data you may need if it gets lost somehow. Um, and then we can move on to step 3, which is adding the deployed package's address to the source constants folder. And this is going to be that address that we just copied. And so to find that, you can go into your folder. It's going to be all the way back in challenge-5 source. And this is we were just in the source file for our move package. Now this will be the source file for our application itself. And so we want to open up this constants.ts. Oh, it's not a media file. Open with Visual Studio Code. Awesome. So we want to open up this constants.ts, and under here of etsport constant testnet counter package ID, that's where we're going to put that address, that object ID, this package ID, sorry, that we had just gotten from here. And so if you wrote that down, you can either get it from where you wrote down, or if you kept your console open, straight from there, and that will go here. And this is going to tell essentially our application the location of the move package that we're going to be interacting with. So then once you have that done, the fourth step is just to run npm install. We're going to want to do this at the location though of our application. So if you are doing this with a Visual Studio Code, which is what I would recommend, that or any other IDE, then what the easiest way to do that would be to open up the file, or sorry, not file, the folder you'll be working in. And that will be challenge-5. And then you'll select that folder, which will make it the active working directory. And then you can go to view, or is it, no, view terminal. That'll create a new terminal, which you can then use to run. Do we need to install? I guess I'll go through installing pnpm because I don't think that comes default.
Yeah, and
Okay.
yeah, just FYI to anyone, like you can use if you have like Yarn or npm installed or any other sort of package manager, you can use whichever one. one. But yeah, if you want, why you can go through the installation.
Okay, so I'll be using PNPM. And so to install that from your console, you'll just type in npm space install -g -pnpm, and then wait for that to run through. Awesome. And so once that's added, then you can run that command from here, which is going to be the pnpm install. And so you run that up, install, and then that's going to thank, and it's going to run through and download everything that we need to get this app to work. Awesome. So then when that finishes, our app is successfully, or the dependencies are successfully installed. And so now we can run pnpm dev so that we can test the front end that we've just built locally. And so we'll go pnpm space dev, and that will run through, and then it will give us a link real quick that we can go to, which will be a local link. Click. And you can also control click it, but it opens on your default browser, and mine's default is not Chrome. So that should bring you up here. If it brings you here, that means you've successfully built your app and you have it successfully hosted on your local machine. And it does have full functionality for testing. So you can go ahead and click Connect Wallet. The wallet it'll use to connect will be your Sweet. And so if you don't have this, connection failed. I don't think I've actually gotten that before. Let me try. Ooh, I have this. Oh, that's probably why. So if you don't have a suite, then you can go ahead and go to the Chrome store, and let's go to manage. Let's find this on the store, and I'll send the link to y'all. Here we go.
Yeah, so FYI, this is the Sui wallet here is the like official wallet created by the Misten Labs team. There's a whole bunch of wallets. If you're familiar with Solana as well, you may have the Phantom wallet or the Backpack wallet. Both of those support the Sui network as well, just FYI.
Oh, awesome. So I sent the link to that in chat. You can click that, add it to Chrome, and then once you've done that, I'll just leave it. There we go. Once you've done that, then you can open it up and click on it, which will allow you to create your wallet. So you'll want to create a new passphrase account, if assuming you don't have one already, which will give you your recovery phrase. I'm going to keep mine secret. It's that thing that you don't want anyone to see. If you have that, they have access to your account. So take that, write it down, put it somewhere safe, because that is how you keep and maintain access to your account anywhere. And then it will ask you to create a password. Which I would recommend using. Oops. Cool. Let me show you on mine. Don't show anyone your password, obviously, but this is a account that I will not have for long. And same thing too, you'll most likely want to read through this and make your best choice for your own security. This would obviously be a decently good idea, needing your password to unlock your wallet. All right, so then once you have that, your wallet's all set up. You will need to switch over to the test net though, because we aren't using mainnet to test this. And so you can go over and switch over to testnet from your Sui wallet settings. Testnet, awesome. And then, so once you've done that, you are good to, you'll need some Sui testnet coins. So to get that, you can head over to, it has it built in to the app. Actually, I saw earlier. I can try and see if that'll work on my end. Okay, cool. So from settings, you can switch over to testnet and then request testnet SWI coins, and then that should give you one SWI into your wallet, and that'll be the fastest way to do that. If that doesn't work, let me know. There is a site that we can go to request testnet coins from there. But once you have your wallet set up and you have your testnet coins, you go ahead and click connect wallet, hit SWI, and then now it will open it up. It's going to say your connection's not secure, which is fine because you're on your local machine and this is on testnet. And then we're going to go ahead and hit connect. And so now once your wallet's connect, you'll see now we have this create counter button. And so you can hit that, which will prompt you to have to sign another transaction, which you can approve and that thing for a second. And now we have our counter. And so you see we have count 0 and it has the counter's ID here. And we can increment that, which will be, since we're interacting with the smart contract every time that we're incrementing this, it's going to ask us to sign each time. And there will be a little bit of gas fees also involved with that because we're doing operations on chain. So you can increment this as many times as you want to. And if you go over to your SWI wallet after doing that a few times, you'll probably see that your balance has dropped from the gas fees. And then whenever you want to, you can also reset, which is going to be that second function we have saw that second function that we saw for where was that? That'll be this function here. So we can go through and look at that on the front end code as well, where it's responsible for resetting will set the value to 0 there. Seems to be having a hard time on mine, but essentially that is the end of challenge 4, apart from step 6, which I'll also go through, and that's hosting this instance on Versal. Daniel, do you think that we should go through step 6 first, or kind of delve into the front end code some?
I maybe just finish it off with Vercel because
Okay.
it should be pretty straightforward.
Awesome. So for step 6, I'll send this link in the chat as well in case you don't have the challenges pulled up. But Vercel will allow you to host this site that we just built, and we'll be using it in line with GitHub.
Did you sign the transaction for first resetting it?
I thought I had signed it. I may not have.
It might like be hiding behind your window. Sometimes that
Oh,
happens where I'll click out and
yeah,
then
that's what it was. Yeah.
it's still waiting.
Yeah, let's approve that. I was wondering why it didn't. I forgot and clicked out.
Yeah, you might want to refresh.
Yeah, refresh. I'll try it again. I think I just messed up the order. All right, let's sign that and see. Okay, there we go. Yep, Florida keyboard error there. But we got, so then you hit reset and that'll work. Awesome. So other than that, we'll go to that Versal site. And you'll want to create a new account in order to host this. And I'll give y'all some time, I guess, to do that. While I do that, I'll go ahead and pull up my GitHub. Does everyone here familiar or semi-familiar with GitHub and have either GitHub desktop or the CLI on their computer? Awesome. Okay, so if you've had your maybe a little bit behind, let me know if I need to pause, but I'll go ahead and continue. So the next step is to go ahead and, if you're using GitHub Desktop like I am, open that up or use the CLI. And so we're going to go ahead and create a new repository on your local drive. And then you'll want to name it, I'm going to name mine SWI Challenge 5. And then I'll choose the location of this, which is going to be a Challenge 5 project, Challenge 5. And this will be that same root folder where you had your app scaffolded. And then we will select that folder and then create repository. Awesome. And let that go ahead and see. Tory. and the files will appear here. It just takes a little bit of time. Does anybody have any questions so far? Awesome. I believe so. I may have messed something up there. Let me make sure I did that right. Oh yeah, I did mess it. That's on me. Let me go ahead and exit out of this. Do not need that. Okay. So, um, okay. So we will. Don't believe it's added existing. It is create. I don't know why it did not. Daniel, do you know why that didn't work there? I had this working just right before we had done this. Try adding an existing. Challenge for that. Select folder. Repository. Create. Let's try that. Too many files. Trust.
If you have the old GitHub repository, you could just use that one for the sake of the
Yep.
demo.
Okay, that's what I'll do. Let me find it. I believe I do. Let me check my GitHub. I don't know that I published it earlier. I just had it or pushed it. Sweet challenge 5 sandbots. Oh, this is my. Well, this one will work. This is my sandbots from earlier. So yeah, I can use this. So once you get your challenge 5 uploaded to GitHub, then you can go over back to
I think this one
virtual.
will be empty though, right? Is this empty?
No, this is where I was working on earlier. Where I was doing the. I don't believe this one is empty. Challenge 5 sandbots.
If I
This
think
is
if it had code in it, it would show code in that page there.
okay. Let me. Here we go. Oh yeah, you're right. So yeah, this one is empty. That means I don't have one pushed currently. Um, yeah, I think it's gonna work now. Okay, there it goes. And that will hopefully pull it up now. I don't know why I was getting that error before. It didn't do that. Prior, there it goes. Okay, so now it's working. Once you get that, it's going to need to go created repository, and then you can commit to main. And that part will take a second. So I guess until that loads, I'll go ahead and just kind of start looking at the front end code, showing you kind of how that all works. And then once that starts committing, we'll get it published and then get Versal up and running.
One tip, like for those of you who are creating the GitHub repo, I'd recommend if there's no git ignore file, creating that and then adding the node modules directory as well as the build folder in the move in the move directory, adding those both to the git ignore so that way you don't have to upload those
Oh,
like few thousands of files.
yep.
Yeah, because then that should make it a lot faster.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sweet. So we'll go ahead and look at our main functions that we're using here on the front end, which will be inside of this source file of our root folder. And so first off, we have app.tsx, and this is where the majority of the front end, or at least what you interact with, is from. And so we import these just various tools that we're using. Our connect button, use current account. We'll kind of go through those. Bots, container, flex heading. Those are all kind of UI containers, components that will help us out. And then just some other, we're importing counter, which is another one of our TSX files, and our create counter, which is one of those as well that we'll look through. So just to start it off, we have our function, just our app, and that kind of gives us our current account. This will be the account that our user is signing with and interacting with. And so we can use that, for instance, down here just to make sure that there is an account connected. And so I'll just kind of dive further into that once we get to it. So other than that, you just have your normal components like flets. This is what makes the menu at the top. Where is that here? This is that flet. So everything in between there, all of this stuff is what tells us to be up here. So from here to down here, all of this. So we have our connect button, which is where up here if you don't have your wallet connected, and that's another one of these functions over here. And then we would also have just various other variables for that. And then we have our bots, same thing inside of this. So dapp starter template goes up in that, and then that's the end of that component. After that, we have our other container, which is just the rest, and then a container there as well. This container here with the background var gray A2 is going to be this bots right here. And so what we can do with that, so inside of there, first thing we're doing is we're checking for the current account. Is there an account connected? And if there isn't, then we go to our else statement basically over here, which is please connect your wallet. And that's what appears right here. When a wallet is disconnected, that's what kind of controls that. I'll go ahead and reconnect this. And then other than that, it just, if there is a current account created, then we check for a counter ID. If there's not a counter ID, then we're going to create a counter. And if there is a counter ID, then we're going to set the counter equal to, what do you call it? Or set the counter's ID equal to that, which we'll kind of go into there. But that is just, that's the app. So when you're going through and you're doing challenge 5, you can do like a lot of reverse engineering, just kind of looking at how things are done here, how counter is called and with a stuff passed into it, and then how on create counter is called as well. Just looking into counter. Also, let me check this. It's still committing. Yeah. So that get ignore, like Daniel said, will ignore most of that. And so then that we're just importing, same thing, a lot of useful tools. Then we have our function counter, and this is what's being called from our app. So we imported it up here, and then we're using it down in here. Or we use create counter first. So we use that function create counter, which this here is where we handle that input of onCreated that passes in that string of the ID. And then we set our counter package equal to, if you remembered, we went into this constants.ts, and that's where we set our testnet counter package ID was equal to the object or to the package ID. And so that's what we're using here. Then we're using just constant sweet client as the current sweet client, so we can do this PTB. And then we have our sign and execute is it says as pending, which is going to control later on when the button is clicked, whether or not the create counter has finished creating. And then we have our function create, which this is called down here when the button is clicked. So we've already signed it, but when we first connected our wallet and we had that button that said create counter, create counter, this is where that was handled here. So we have that container with a button in it, and when it's clicked, it creates, and it's disabled on success or pending. This button is. And then if it's success or if it's pending, that's when we're going to get that loading symbol that pops up as well. So the button is clicked, it calls create, and then that creates a new transaction, which we've seen that before in prior, most of this we've seen before in prior challenges. but just to kind of go over it, we do a move call. We're going to call that create function from the counter module inside of our counter package ID. And then which takes no arguments, and then we sign and execute, which just is the transaction. And then this stuff here is diagnostics to make sure everything goes through right and give us some more information on the transaction that went through. Now then, assuming a counter is created and you want to increment or reset it, that's all handled in here. Likewise, we have those buttons for incrementing and for resetting, and those will call the execute move call reset or execute move call increment, and those are all functions that we have here that similarly make move calls on chain. Same thing with set value function of the counter module of our package, which was those functions that we went through earlier. And so that's just a real rough kind of introduction of how the front end works, how to upload it. And this is still committing to main. I was hoping it'd be, oh, there it goes. Awesome. Oh, there's one more thing. Hoping that file will go through. That's the one it made earlier when it messed up and tried to build a new repository inside of ours. Which shouldn't have any problems, but it does look like it's complaining a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and publish. I believe that it will work, and publish that. Likewise, that may take a second. Okay, no, that's moving really fast. Okay, so that won't take long at all. It's like about 75% done. Awesome. Should be finishing up soon. Sweet. So there we go. So now that we've done that, we can find our repository on GitHub, our challenge 5, and this is where we're going to use it with Vercel. So essentially we're going to import project, and it'll ask you to connect your GitHub if not already. So you add GitHub account, install Vercel. I'm going to give it access just to that challenge 5, and then I'm going to hit install. Then it wants my password. Awesome. So once we've done that, we can select the repository that we wanted. And if you did give it limited control like I did, and you want another project later, it's very likely you have to go in and give it extra permissions. If it will load. Here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and import challenge 5. And I'll keep the name the same and deploy. So essentially what this will allow you to do is to host that app online, and then your friends or whatever can go to it from their own computers without having to connect to your local machine, is the purpose of this. And this is one of the 2 things that you will submit for challenge 4 and 5 will be the link to your GitHub repo. It needs to be public, so don't make yours private like I did. And then a link to the hosted website, which will be your Vercel site once it deploys. Do we have any questions or anything about challenge 4, challenge 5, or even previous challenges while this deploys?
Yeah, I had a quick one.
Oh, yeah.
Um, for the previous challenges, I started doing them a little bit later, so just started getting through them. How can I access some like the past workshops, the recordings? I've been trying to access them, but I haven't been able to find them.
Where are those the record are we hosting them anywhere?
I don't know if you or Esvin haven't hosted them anywhere. I haven't. So they may not
Okay.
be up then if that's the case.
All right, Arnav, I'll do that. I'll set those up right now, and then when I those are set up, I'll put them. They shouldn't take long, but I'll put them up in the SWE Telegram channel.
Mhm.
So I'll let you know if I'm able to do that within the workshop. Otherwise, just check back on there.
Got it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, but I mean, if you have questions, like this is your time, like so. You feel free to ask us whatever, and we can like go to the initial challenge even if you need help. So,
Mhm. Well, I another thing I was running into was I was using the for challenge zero specifically. I was using the trying to remember exactly. I was trying to fund the account using the Sweet Faucet. And I was using the like website one, like
okay.
trying to use my address, I guess.
Yeah.
And it kept giving me errors when I was trying to get some testnet coins. So I was just
Is,
wondering,
is it
um,
still not working for you? Like if you try it right now, would it work?
I can check
Because
that.
yeah, because I think a few weeks ago it was having some difficulties. Otherwise, I'll send you. Let me know if that works, and if not, I'll send you some other links that we have as well.
Got it.
Um, yeah, we have a few different community-run faucets as in addition to like the one we run. And for anyone else that needs it, this is the alternative faucet. And at any point, if none of the faucets are working, you can just send a message in the Telegram chat, and I will send you some sweet myself as well.
All right, it seems to be okay right now.
Okay, yeah. If I'm not sure when you did it, but sometimes there's a lot of traffic on it. And if that ever happens, you can use one of the other faucets. We also have one on the Discord as well, but you should be good with just the one sweet for now.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
So this still isn't wanting to deploy. It may be because we didn't include that get ignore. I'm not certain on that, but if you followed along thus far, this is just how you'll do every step. And I'll leave this on in the background. Um, and when it deploys, I'll bring it back to the forefront. Um, what was it? Oh, I did have the POAP as well for today's meeting. I'll pull it up. Me, don't know what happened to it. I'll send it back to myself. Still deploying. Okay, here is that POAP QR code. Oops. Go. Alrighty. Did that work for everybody? No problems scanning that. Sweet. Other than that, was there anything else we needed to cover, Daniel? It doesn't look like this will be deploying anytime soon on my end.
Yeah, no worries. I think that's it for challenge 4 or 5. Um, but if you guys like I said, this is the rest of the time is open. We'll just end as soon as we don't have any more questions to answer. So, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask them either with your voice or on the chat, and we can go ahead and help you.
Thanks guys for the help today. I'm gonna head out.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah,
See ya.
for sure. Thanks for coming.
All right, looks like we don't have any
Alrighty.
questions, Wyatt. So I think we can
Alrighty.
close it down.
We'll close it off. Thank you all for coming, and see y'all at the next one.
Yep, see ya.